you're running against an incumbent, that's considered an establishment Charlie Crist Republican candidate in the state house race. First of all, tell us a little about yourself and why you're actually running against an incumbent like him.
Well, to tell you a tiny bit about myself, currently I'm a vice chair of the Tory Republican Club. I sit on the executive committee board for the Pinellas County Republican group. I'm also on Marco Rubio's Services Academy board, which is where about 11 or 12 of us sit on a board. It's a one-year appointment where anybody who wants to get into the military academies comes and interviews and we review them. I'm also currently a newly appointed lieutenant in the Army National Guard, and on my service record so far, I will have going on 6 years of service to my state and my country. I also have worked on Larry Ahern's campaign. I've worked on Gus Bilirakis' campaign for Congress, Jeff Brandes' campaign for State House, and with Senator Marco Rubio on his college outreach, and with Governor Rick Scott volunteering towards the end of his campaign. He was a poll watcher as well.
You consider yourself a true conservative. Do you think being a true conservative will play out in the district, the one you're running in, being that Pinellas has always leaned moderate to left?
Very much so, because there's Pinellas that's North Pinellas, and then there's South Pinellas. And North Pinellas, in my district specifically, voted for, under both the new redistricting, if everything plays out in the old district, has voted for both Rick Scott and John McCain. So it is a solid Republican district, and it is a solid conservative district. And that is one of the reasons why I'm running as well, is that the individual who represents it now, I find it to be very, very bad thing that a guy who says openly on video that he shares many of the Charlie Crist philosophies is openly representing this district while saying he's a conservative. So, another problem is that we have had very, very lacking representation with what this district and what the state really needs. We haven't had anybody in this district trying to bring manufacturing and industrial type jobs here to help get better paying jobs, not through government subsidies, but through actual free market principles. We also don't have anybody who's going out there and trying to say, hey, let's get an E-Verify bill passed. This individual I'm running against in this district, Mr. Peter Nair, has never proposed an E-Verify bill, and I don't know if he has proposed an Alabama or Arizona type immigration bill either.
Now, that being said, that brings me to my next question. You're supportive, obviously, of an E-Verify in an Arizona immigration law bill in the state. Rick Scott campaigned on that. He won on that. Would you support or maybe propose something like that if you're elected to the legislature? Very
much so, and I believe we do it in two ways. A lot of people are complaining that if you tie E-Verify, which is the jobs portion of it, to the criminal and ID check portion of it, then it's not going to pass. So we're going to want to pass both laws, but we start with E-Verify. And we go all the way back to both current employees and new hired employees. And we do it from employee 1 all the way up to however many you have. So that bill I support. And then we do the check the immigration status in schools, and we check immigration status at police stops and so forth that are not hunting down illegals, but you just have general questions. And one of the biggest problems that I see is people don't tie this into one of the real issues, which is jobs. We have over 500,000 jobs that are occupied right now by illegal immigrants in this state. We also have over 70% of children in English as a second language in schools are children of illegal immigrants. So these aren't legal immigrants, these aren't U.S. citizens who are naturalized citizens who have their kids trying to learn English. Most of these are anchor babies, which are not citizens, even though that they're very, very wrongly interpreting the 14th Amendment.
Would you propose, if you're elected to the legislature, would you propose some kind of legislation stating that English should be the official language, not so much of the state, but perhaps even at a national level?
Of course, you have to have as part of any functioning, stable society, which is of course also a stable and functioning country, you have to have a national language, one that is practiced everywhere, one that's practiced in your balloting, and practiced in your licensing, practiced in everything you do within jobs, government and private. You have to have a culture that is dependent on some kind of connectivity. When people talk about multiculturalism, which is a joke, what they're asking is that everybody comes here and there's no assimilation. And that breaks down a country. That breaks down the system. You cannot function if you've got 7 different people speaking 7 different languages when you're applying for a loan or when you're trying to talk to somebody on the phone. You have to have a proper language and a single language, wherever it is. And I would never go to another country and say if I ever wanted to, which I never would, but if I ever went to France or Germany or China or any other country, I would never have the gall to say, you will all speak my language. You will all make sure that I am accommodated 100% for the rest of my life, and I'm never going to learn yours. So yes, of course I would support any bill like that for English, not only on a state level, but as a national level as well.